When you have content that needs to be organized into columns and rows, could be text, numbers, even images, for example, your best bet is to use a table. And Word 2019 has a number of table tools, some of which we're going to explore in this movie with our Tech Connect document 0405 if you're catching up. We left off here on page 2, having put some of our content into 2 columns. Just click down at the very end of the last paragraph after the period after the word children. Let's say we want to create this table that's going to outline a 3-day agenda for a conference that's coming up. Well, we should put it on its own page. The very first step is to create a page break so we can start on a fresh page. Let's do that by going up to the Layout tab, make sure it's still selected, and click the Breaks drop-down and choose Page right there at the top. Now we're on a brand new page, but are we ready to go? Well, we were working in 2 columns here on page 2. We're probably still working in 2 columns down here on the new page. Well, the best way to know that for sure is to turn on the ruler. Let's go up to the View tab. Next, we'll click the checkbox next to Ruler. And with that turned on, you can see at the top a ruler, and down the left-hand side, another ruler showing us the vertical steps. Well, it looks to me like we can see our left margin, our right margin, and then something in the middle here representing the space between columns. Yep, those are column margins, and that's something that we don't want. We want to go back to a single column. You might be thinking go up to the Layout tab, click Columns, and then choose 1, but don't do that. Choosing 1 will use the default, and that's going to apply a single column to all of your document. So instead, we need to go down to More Columns, and you'll see here if we choose 1, it would be applied to this section. We haven't even talked about sections yet. We're working in one single section for our document, so the entire thing would go to a single column. What we want to do is apply it from this point forward. Click the drop down and choose this point forward, and then click OK. There we go. So now we're looking at the ruler across the top, not seeing any column markers. We're ready to go. Let's start by adding a title. We can type in the following: Red 30 Tech Annual Makers Conference, all in caps. And let's format this. So we'll click and drag over the content right to the E in conference. And we'll keep the same font face, but click the drop down for the size and choose 26. And I think we can change the color as well, the font color right here from the formatting toolbar. Let's choose that dark gray down here, the blue-gray text, to lighter 25%. There we go. Now you can click anywhere to deselect that and press Enter to go to the next line. Now before we add our title, let's change our font back now. We'll go up to the Home tab, leave it at Calibri, click the drop down, and we'll go back to 10. That way we're not creating a table that's ready to accommodate such huge text. We can also change the color back. Let's go to black, and now we can insert our table. And it's easily done from the Insert tab. Go ahead and click there. Now you'll want to think this out before inserting the table. Let's say we want an agenda. There are 3 days worth of agenda items. So that's 3 rows we'll need at least. We'll need content under each of those 3 days. So another 3. So a total of 6 rows. And let's say we want to have an image on the left, the times in the next column, and then the information in the third column. So really what we want is a table that's going to be 3 columns by 6 rows. Click the table drop down. You'll see a number of different ways to create the table. At the top is a grid. As you hover over this grid, you're going to see the table and what it would look like if you were to make that selection. For example, if we go 3 across and 6 down, that would create the table that we need using exact column widths that are the same. Same thing for the rows, but it's a good starting point. Another option is to insert table, and this will give you more options. You'll even get to choose a design. And you can even draw a table by clicking and dragging your mouse. What we're going to do is use the grid. That's the easiest way. So let's go to 3 by 6. You'll see that at the top. And when you have that 3 by 6 table ready, just click and it's inserted for you, just like that. Notice Table Tools appear on the ribbon with a Design and a Layout tab, so we can start doing things like changing our design. First of all, because we turned on the ruler, we can see the markers representing each of the columns, and we can adjust those just by clicking and dragging. For example, let's move this one over to about an inch. Now we'll move the next one over to around the 2-inch mark. And now we can move this right-hand side all the way out to around the 7-inch mark. You can see already the table's looking very different. Next, we'll go in here and let's say we want to put in the day and the title of the conference. In this case, day 1 would appear at the top, day 2 a little further down, day 3, and the actual date. Well, in that case, we might want to join these together. So click and drag from the first cell across. You'll see all 3 cells in the first row selected. Now with our table tools, we can do things like join those together. Click the Layout tab, you'll see an option to merge cells. Doing that turns them into one big cell. And we can do the same for the 3 cells a couple of rows down. And again, skip a row and do the same to merge those. Starting to take shape. Click anywhere inside the table, and we want to type in the following. Day 1, leave a space and a dash and a space. And we'll type in a date like Tuesday, July 24th. There we go. And then we could go down a couple of rows and type in day 2, leave a space, and that would be Wednesday, July 25th. And let's get day 3 in there as well. That's going to be Thursday, July 26th. So we have some content in there. It's not looking all that fancy, but we're ready to start putting things in some of these other cells. We're going to put images into these empty cells in the first column. We'll save that for later. Next, we'll put in some times, and then next to that, some agenda items. For example, if we go in here, and if we count across and down, this is actually, if we go across and down, that's column 2, row 2, click inside, and just type in the first time. We'll do 7:30 to 9. Now you can also use your tab key to move to the next cell. So while you're typing, it's a little bit quicker than reaching for the mouse and typing after you click. We'll type in registration and continental breakfast. Now when you press enter, you can see you're creating an extra line here for content. When we click in the cell previous, we can't click below. We need to press enter there as well to type in the next time. We'll type in one more. Let's do 9:15 to 10. Hit your tab key. You can see it highlights that text. We already pressed enter, so we can click just below to type in one more thing, and that's opening remarks. Okay, that's enough typing for now. Let's do a little bit of formatting. Let's go into this first cell up here at the top. When we go up to design, you can see there are some preset designs to choose from if we wanted to. So we could start with any of these, and as you hover over them, you can see in the background some things changing. But I don't see anything that really applies to us. So just click in the background to close that up. Still in the first cell at the top, let's change the shading for that cell. Notice there's a shading drop down. We'll go to a nice dark gray. Now with that dark gray, notice we don't see very well what we typed in there, so we can click and drag across that and change the text color. Going back to the Home tab, the text color should probably be white in this case. It'll make it a lot easier to see on that gray background. Just click anywhere to see what that looks like. All right, let's do a little more formatting with this text. We'll select it and let's bump it up. Let's go up to 20 points. I think that'll fit nicely. There we go. And maybe center it. You get the idea. We'll do the same down below, but for now, you can see what's happening. Our table's starting to take shape. What I don't think we need is this line separating the times and the actual agenda item. So click in that cell. And when we go back to the design and layout tabs up here, you can see we have options for borders. Borders has its own drop down. And from here, we can apply just the left border if we wanted to, or we want no borders at all on the left. All of these presets are here. Just hover over them to see what it's going to look like. Now with no border, you can see what happens. It's hard to see, but on the right there's no border, and we do need it there. Maybe we only need a right border or a left border missing. That's the one we're after. Choose left border, and you can see it just removes it. Still a separate cell. Looks like it's all joined as one, but we can do that down below for the others as well. Choose left and left. And we're ready to continue filling this out and formatting it so the other cells match. So I'm going to end things here. You get the idea for inserting a table and formatting. I'm going to finish this up for you so it's ready to go in the next chapter.